Arsenal are entering a different phase right now. And it's got nothing to do with hype or form or even the results. What Mikel Arteta has done with this midfield is intentional. It's repeatable, and ahead of a game like Manchester United, it could completely change the way we control midfields. Look, I'll be honest, I don't know what Arsenal's best midfield is at the moment, but that is such a good problem to have. I would genuinely be happy going into this game if we play Declan Rice with Zubimendi, and then you could have Eze, Odegaard or Mikel Merino. That is how strong this Arsenal midfield is. There's so many questions surrounding this Manchester United game, but I want to dial down onto the midfield. I have done the deep diving. I've watched so much footage of all of Arsenal's midfielders before making this video. I've deep dived into the stats so you guys don't have to. And I think the results will surprise so many people. Before we get into it though, I want you to do me a quick favour if you could. Hit like and subscribe. And before I get into everything, I genuinely want to know what is the midfield everyone would go for against Manchester United. Because I know for sure everyone will have a different opinion because I'm seeing it in my comment section. Some people saying Eze, some people saying Ødegaard. I guess the two mainstays on which most people can agree with is Zubimendi and Declan Rice. I want to start with Zubimendi because he has categorically transformed the way this whole Arsenal midfield shapes up. When you look at his stats, they're so impressive and it's fluid. It's like water. This Arsenal midfield now has evolved to be this rotating midfield. Zubimendi isn't a conventional central defensive midfielder. And you see that within his stats. Like for a central defensive midfielder, he has 4 goals and 3 assists, which is up there in terms of stats. It's comparable with any midfielder. Enzo Fernandez, for example. And this is a midfielder that also plays in the number 10 role. Martín Zubimendi is putting up these types of numbers from way deeper. And that is because the midfield moves around so much. Just look, defensive positioning and reading the game. Martín Zubimendi is amongst the elite. And how can you quantify how good someone is? By their reading of the game, their positioning, by standing in a position that doesn't allow the dangerous ball. It is such an underrated skill to have, and Martín Zubimendi has mastered it. But this one is impressive. Ball recovery and tackling. He is amongst the very, very best in the league. And that is shown because of the way he reads the game, the way he intercepts. So clever. And again, his goal threat for his role also ranks amongst the very highest in the league. But let's move to Eze and Ødegaard because I think these are the positions where most people have the most difference of opinion. I want Eze, I want Ødegaard, and they are definitely different in how their stats suggest what type of players they are. I want to start with Eze because you look at his output, 5 goals and 4 assists, and you would say, look, that's pretty decent. Probably not at his high level that he had last season, but he's had less minutes. He's new into the team. There's some integration. There's different roles expected for him. But if you look at his shots per 90 and his shots on target, he is in the 94th percentile in the whole Premier League. Non-penalty expected goals, again, 94th percentile in the entire Premier League. This shows to me that Eze is more of the goal getter. If you want a creator, it would appear that Ødegaard's the guy. If you want the guy to actually score and take the initiative, these stats show Eze is better at doing this. Let's look at what Martin Ødegaard does best. His stats this season: 1 goal, 4 assists, which are probably lower than what he would expect. But this is the interesting part. Expected assists. Martin Ødegaard is in the 98th to 99th percentile. So expected assists, Martin Ødegaard is essentially the very best in the league. Created 26 key chances this season, again, which is one of the highest in the Premier League. And he leads most Arsenal players in terms of key passes. So that definitely shows Eze is more likely to score a goal and Martin Ødegaard is more likely to assist a goal. So what do you want against Manchester United? The answer still might be Mikel Merino, but I think there's an outside chance of it being Mikel Merino. I think it's definitely Zubimendi and Declan Rice and then either Eze or Ødegaard. What is the outcome of Mikel Arteta's decision? Does he want Eze who's going to score or Martin Ødegaard who's going to assist? Let's look at Merino though. Because this is interesting. Because I kind of think that Mikel Merino is closest in terms of profile to Arsenal's best midfielder, which is Declan Rice. So many similarities. Not quite at the high level, not as polished as Declan Rice. But when you look into him, his stats definitely show comparable to Declan Rice, but just at a lower level. But Merino is actually more attacking than most people give him credit for. I genuinely believe Mikel Merino, if we go on to win what most of us want to this season, will go down as one of the real unsung heroes of this Arsenal team. There's been plenty of them in previous generations. You think of players like Rosicky or Sylvain Wiltord years and years ago. Mikel Merino is so integral to this Arsenal team. Like, he had clubs like Man City, Real Madrid genuinely chasing him. And this is a guy that doesn't feature necessarily in Arsenal's first team. He's so important. Attacking actions, Mikel Merino is in the 93rd percentile. Like, forget what he does defensively and his competitiveness and his aerial ability. Mikel Merino in forward actions is 93rd percentile. Very good in terms of forward progression, carrying the ball, moving the ball up the pitch. The only thing that lets Mikel Merino down is his passing accuracy, which kind of surprised me because in terms of link-up play, I don't think he's too bad at it. I've compared him to this player previously, and some people have actually agreed with me. He's kind of got a bit of Olivier Giroud about him. You know, when you pass him the ball and he just gives it back to you because he can angle his foot in a certain way, and you just so seeing that passing accuracy that let him down. Yeah, that was surprising slightly. So what does this mean for the Manchester United game? I would imagine Man United keep the exact same midfield that they did. Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mainoo. So for that reason, I don't think you need Zubimendi, Declan Rice and Mikel Merino. They are all big, strong characters. I think you definitely need some attacking flair, and that is what Ødegaard and Eze will give you. Declan Rice, let's quickly speak about Declan Rice, because in my opinion, he's not just the best midfielder in the world and the most important midfielder in Arsenal's team. He's Arsenal's most important player. If there's one player I wish to not be injured for the rest of the season, it's Declan Rice. I think our whole team has been built around him now. Like, he's so important to everything Arsenal done. And it's crazy to say that because he's now a number 8. When he first got brought in, there were so many question marks about why have we brought in a number 6 and then we're trying to transform him into this number 8. Just go out there and buy a number 8. But the vision of Mikel Arteta was spot on. He is world class. Declan Rice. His stats back that up. 4 goals, 8 assists. He's amongst the best in the league in terms of goals and assists for his position. Passes, 94th percentile. 7th in the whole league for distance covered. So that just shows how well-rounded of a player Declan Rice is. He is the very best in the world in my opinion. I think a lot of people hold that. I'm seeing Premier League rivals now understanding Declan Rice is the best midfielder in the league, and most people have him as the best midfielder in the Premier League. I have said all that to say this. I think the midfielder that Mikel Arteta will play against Manchester United will be Martin Ødegaard. But I think there is a real chance, if we continue to see Eze, that he could force himself into this Arsenal team. I don't think his performance against Inter Milan was absolutely wow where it was transformational, where it's like, I've never seen this. He lost the ball slightly too easy, in my opinion. Again, if you want a goal from a midfield, it's a great option to have. That's why you see Ødegaard switched out so often for Eze, because Eze's more likely to score a goal. But in the early stages of a game, Martin Ødegaard 100% is better at that chance creation and getting the assist. His expected assists, again, in the 98th to 99th percentile. So you start with that, and then if you really need a goal, I think it's the perfect recipe to have. Bring Eze off the bench to go and chase that goal. Arsenal's midfield is so strong in terms of depth. We do have the strongest midfield in the world in terms of depth. Eze, Ødegaard, Merino, Rice, Zubimendi, get into basically every other team in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Arsenal fan, but these are the problems that Mikel Arteta have. And you can say it's a problem, but I actually do not think it's a problem. It is a blessing to have that many strong midfielders in one team. We will see rotation in every single game. I would genuinely be happy if we play 3 players against Manchester United and then we completely switch it round for the next game. That is genuinely how strong this midfield is. That's why when you've got a player like Ethan Nwaneri, you've had to loan him out because there's no way for him to get the minutes because you have so many strong players already fighting for those positions. So letting Ethan Nwaneri go out on loan was definitely the right decision by Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta. I hope to see his development. Some people have been making some very valid points about Ethan Nwaneri. Well, when it happened with Saliba, he went out on loan for a couple of seasons over in France, same club, and we saw what happened. So I will be keeping a keen eye on Nwaneri. And now we're seeing reports of Ødegaard maybe leaving Arsenal in January. That's not something I'd be so keen on because it's not for player development. You are literally just weakening yourself because you think you're not going to play him that much. But if a player gets injured, all of a sudden Christian Ødegaard becomes vital in terms of rotation into this Arsenal team. So I hope we don't see Christian Ødegaard go. Because the Ethan Nwaneri one, I wouldn't have done it, but I see why we have. If we let Christian Ødegaard go, I wouldn't understand that decision at all because you're literally just weakening yourself for what would appear to be no benefit if you're not bringing anyone else in. But let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. What is your Manchester United versus Arsenal midfield? Arsenal versus Manchester United because it's at home. For me, it will be Zubimendi, Declan Rice and Odegaard. And in the second half, I bring on Eberechi Eze. I have got my full match breakdown for Arsenal versus Man United coming out tomorrow, so make sure you keep an eye on that. Thank you so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.